This video is about thinking through strategy by asking 7 key questions that help you to shorten your odds and help you to better execute your strategy. So having said that, what is the goal of this course? The goal is to help you recognize good strategy, to help you to craft a successful strategy that allows you to outperform your competitors for your chosen customer and generate greater profit by making you aware of the tools, the frameworks, the questions to ask when you are analyzing the industry, when you're analyzing your value chain, and when you are analyzing the strategic logic flow. As Roger Martin says in chapter 8, building a strategy isn't about achieving perfection. Strategy is about shortening your odds. Strategy is as much an art as it is a science. So strategy is about asking the right questions. So when we think of strategy, we think of our primary customer and determining who that primary customer is. McDonald's, earlier in its evolution, up until 2003, 2004, it expanded just explosively. And how did it expand? Because McDonald's understood that its primary customer was not the consumer, the person eating those hamburgers. Its primary customer was real estate developers and franchisees. So that is what helped McDonald's expand so quickly. And then in 2003 or 2004, a new CEO came in, and that CEO said that the primary customer was the consumer. But the explosive growth came in when McDonald's thought that determined that its primary customer was actually the real estate developer and the franchisee. So why is it important to understand who that primary customer is? It's because it helps, and as well to understand what our core value is, because it helps us to make a better decision. And when we think, who are we going to put first? Do we put the employees first? Do we put the shareholders first? What is the difference there? If you are a service provider, if your company is a service provider, your company should put the employees first, because it is those happy employees, those fulfilled employees that do a better job, they provide better customer service, and they ultimately build greater shareholder value. If what you are doing is you are placing your shareholders first and not the employees, then what are you doing? You're asking your employees to make decisions based on margin, on profitability, and on asset utilization, when perhaps, again, depending upon what your business is, really whom you should be placing ahead of the others is actually the employees. So one of the things that we should think about, we always think about what is going to cause us to succeed. What do we need to do? What are our key performance factors so that we can succeed? But if we think about it, perhaps what we should do is turn that on its head, and instead of focus on what is going to allow us to succeed, focus on what will cause us to fail. So think about, imagine yourself, your company in 5 to 7 years with 0 customers, no best employees, with a failed strategy, and then ask yourself, what could I have done different? What caused me to have no employees, to have no customers, to have a failed strategy? What are those pieces there? What are those points that caused me to fail? And then concentrate on those points, put those particular points on your scorecard so that you can make sure that you are reviewing that every week, every month, every quarter to make sure that those particular items that cause you to fail, those are the ones that you are looking at. What we have next is a series of 7 key questions for better execution. And these actually come from a book by the same name, 7 Strategy Questions, A Simple Approach for Better Execution. It was written by Robert L. Simmons, who is a Harvard Business School professor. He wrote it in 2010. And so what does Mr. Simmons say? He says that for you to be able to have competitive strategy, to be able to translate that competitive strategy into a day-to-day action that is going to enable you to win in the marketplace, then you've got to ask these 7 questions. You need to strike a balance between innovation and control, and to make sure that everybody is pulling in the same direction. So how do we do that? He says you need to ask these 7 questions. And so the first question is just that, what we mentioned about McDonald's. Who is the primary customer? Is our firm organized to deliver maximum value to that primary customer? And then how do our core values prioritize our stakeholders? And notice that it's not just the shareholders, but it is the stakeholders, the other groups, the other individuals that are around. So it can be, if you are the pipelines, for example. So think of the Native Americans, that those pipelines are coming through their land or close to their land. They are not a shareholder of the gas company, however, or the pipeline company. However, they are definitely stakeholders, and they have a say. We need to be aware of all of the individuals that have an interest, not just the ones who own a portion of the company, not just the ones who are shareholders, but the stakeholders, all of those ones who do have an interest. Think of our employees, think of our customers, and do we have everyone committed to those particular values? And so how can we have those employees committed? How can we have our stakeholders committed? A lot of this is from a stakeholder perspective. It is customer service representation that is, again, thinking of the environment, thinking of the area. They're not just thinking about the particular company. When we think about our critical performance values, again, this goes back to what would have caused our company to fail. So we need to think of our specific items there, and to understand, are we creating accountability for those performance variables? So what are we tracking, and are we creating accountability? So we can discuss it with our teams. We can have sales forecasts, discuss what the initiatives are, discuss who our new contacts are, discuss what is the recognition process within our company. Do we send emails out when we've got a new customer or a new project that has been completed? Do we have a hackathon, for example, to get groups that are interested and to get them, my dog is whimpering, to get them excited about what they're doing? Do we let people know? Not only are we creating accountability, but we are also recognizing the successes, and are we generating that cohesion. When we think of strategic boundaries, what strategic boundaries have we set? Does everybody in the firm know what is off limits for our strategic boundaries? So looking at that, I worked for a company that had a relationship contract. I was working for a consulting company, had a relationship contract with an iron ore company that was a long-term client. We had a new project manager that wanted to assert his responsibility, or his power, shall we say. That's a better word. And so that person did what? Started working with the client's representative and putting lots of demands on the client representative, when really what we had, there was an actual contract, but as well, a lot of it was a relational contract, things that were not written down in the contract. And those things the particular project manager was trying to change. Some of them he was trying to change to bring the contract more into a written formal contract. But the problem is that did not go over very well with the client. And it turns out that we ended up losing that client. And the reason we lost that client was because the project manager thought he was doing the right thing, but he did not realize what were those strategic boundaries that he had transgressed, that he had crossed a line for those strategic boundaries. When we look at creative tension, are we generating creative tension? Are we catalyzing innovation? Again, what could we do there? We can have hackathons. We can discuss those initiatives with our teams. We can have our sales forecasts. When we look at commitment, how committed are our employees to helping each other? One of the things that we need to do is we need to make sure that our incentives, so our monetary incentives, one of the things that my company is doing now is that they have used to they were incented, their bonus was how many hours that they had worked for the client, how many hours did they bill. But when you're billing, when your focus is what is it that you're billing, and now you've got new people that are coming in and those new people need help, the people who are being incented for how many hours they are billing, they don't really want to help. They'll help a little bit, but if there's something that really needs done, then what have you done? You've caused a conflict, that the company has caused a conflict with the new hires that are coming in, because now those ones that are working hard to actually bill to increase their salary, to increase their bonus, now they don't have the time. So that is slowly being changed. One of the other things that is being changed is we have something that there's a tool that we're using. It's an HR tool called Lattice. And so what they are, what the company is encouraging is for when someone helps you and has gone above and beyond, then to enter that information into Lattice. It can go to the individual, him or herself, or it can go as well to that person's supervisor. So what is it that we're trying to do is to show a group cohesion and to build that cohesion, to recognize people who are contributing to, again, to have emails when there are wins, when there are problems that are solved. And then as we look at our last one, what are those strategic uncertainties that keep you awake at night? What keeps the CEO up at night? What keeps the C-suite up at night? What keeps the managers up at night? And so we need to be aware of what those items are, and so that we can bring attention to those things. Danielle. so that we can bring attention to those items that may cause us to what may cause our firm in the 5 to 7 years that we have no employees, we have no customers, we have a failed strategy. What is it that we need to focus on, and we need to relentlessly bring that to the forefront for our employees, to build that cohesion with our group, to catalyze that innovation for us, to track what are those key performance variables, and to have that accountability for completing those performance variables, understanding what as well is our commitment to our employees.